In India, turning train platforms into schools. In Thailand, the battle against child prostitution. And in Egypt, one mother refuses to give up on forgotten children. The power of knowledge, next on The New Heroes. Major funding for The New Heroes was provided by the Skoll Foundation, additional funding provided by Calvert.
Calvert, investments that make a difference.
Listen. Imagine how life will be.
What is it that makes a person a hero? Is it the risk they take? Or the lives they change? There are people in the world today who are offering hope instead of despair. They are the new heroes. Hello, I'm Robert Redford. Learning is a treasure which follows its owners everywhere. Education certainly is the key to advancement and the strongest hammer for breaking the chains of poverty. Yet, for many of the world's poor, education is still unattainable. Those without it are destined to lives of silent desperation. The nation of India is home to nearly 500 million children, many of whom live in extreme poverty. The Indian government has simply not been able to find a way to educate children who must spend their days begging, stealing, and selling their bodies to survive. But one woman, a teacher, decided that if the children couldn't come to school, she'd bring the school to them. Her name is Inderjit Khurana, and she is the guardian angel of the children of the railway stations. "300 miles south of Calcutta lies the Indian city of Bhubaneswar. Every day, the trains that are the lifeblood of the city bring more desperately poor families from the countryside. Many of them simply settle next to the station in the newest and poorest of India's slums. This is Rama. No one, not even her mother, knows how old Rama is. But she is likely 8 or 9. Rama lives with her mother and sister in the slum next to the train station. Her sister, who is 16, already has a child of her own. For kids like Rama, the most important question is, where will the next meal come from? By the time they are 10, most are tired of wondering, and so they enter the netherworld of prostitution and drugs that thrives around the train station. Here, gangsters offer the public every vice imaginable, with child prostitution the cheapest because of the constant new supply of young children. It is the kind of tragedy that causes most of us to turn away in despair. But one woman has decided to stand and fight.
I noticed over a period of time that there were children on the station, lots and lots of them. And I just wondered what I could do to help these children. They were only 10 and 11 years old. These were kids who were surviving on their own, making all decisions, all adult decisions, and hardly leading a child's life. I wanted somehow to alter this, if I could, give them back a childhood and hold out hope for the future.
For 20 years, 5-foot-tall Inderjit Khurana has been a towering presence in the slums of Bhubaneswar. Though the Indian government has decided that educating the nation's poor citizens is an impossible task, Inderjit has dedicated her life to doing the impossible. This is one of 12 trained platform schools created by Inderjit to serve the slums of Bhubaneswar.
No child in the slums, living in the slums or in the streets, will ever go to a school. So my idea is to just take the school to the child.
Almost all of these kids are the first in their family to ever go to school. In the beginning, Inderjit won the children's trust by feeding and bathing them and making them feel they mattered.
We started out on 7th of April 1985 with 11 children, half of them suspecting us of what our intentions were. They said that people who dressed like me never reached out or touched any children like them. And the first day ended in sheer joy, in sheer unadulterated joy, just from a bath. And they had this bath, scrubbed their feet, washed their hair, and then they were like little puppies shaking off the hair because we didn't have so many towels. From then onwards began a steady demand for an everyday school.
Inderjit believes that education is the only way to get these children away from the station. But the Indian government refuses to help her, and she has to rely on charitable donations for the $12,000 a year that funds all 12 schools. With so little money, she can only afford to pay teachers like Sandia 80 cents a day. For that, Sandia and the other teachers fight a daily battle for the lives of their students. Before they are old enough to be prostitutes, many of the kids on the platform live in a kind of neverland as members of child-run gangs. The gangs work the trains, making money any way they can. With no other way to eat, the girls pretend to be boys so they can be in the gang too.
It was a surprise for us to discover that there were girls in the gang. Because till they reach puberty, the girls dress up as boys. That's the only way they can survive. Sometimes even their gang doesn't know that it's a girl.
It is in this narrow window before they become sexually active that Inderjit has her best chance to reach the children. The teachers focus above all on making learning fun so that the kids will come often enough to learn that there is life beyond the platform. But every day the clock is ticking, because the more children hang around the station, the more chance that even the most promising ones will be lost.
For the kids who have hope and don't make it, makes me very sad. Like the child who just died at the station early last year. He was one of our very bright kids. And we lost him when he was playing at the station. He slipped into the space between the train and the platform. And his shirt got hooked onto one of the cars. And he just got dragged for 100 yards before he was thrown across the railway line, and then the wheels of the train went over him, just cut him into two. What gives me the strength to go is to avoid that accident, to see how we can take him away from the station before he reaches 14. For boys, we say that we must reach them by 14, otherwise we've lost them. And for girls, we have to reach them by 10. If we don't reach a girl, we just lose her to prostitution. Or we lose her to suicide. Because when everything else fails her, then it's suicide that she will attempt.
Even if she doesn't know her age, Inderjit knows Rama is at this critical point.
I've lost many girls like Rama in my program because the girls are the worst sufferers. Nobody in society is really worried about the girls or what they're going to land up to be eventually. They don't see a future for them.
For the moment, Rama's mother is able to earn a meager living by sewing discarded rags into dresses and selling them. But she is suffering from an advanced case of tuberculosis and will almost certainly not be able to support herself or her daughter much longer. By the time she is 10 or 11, Rama will be under tremendous pressure to become a prostitute.
It's usually rape, the first time. The platform is the only place where she can sleep. But there, she gets accosted by the gangsters. Even if she has a mother on the station, the mother has to give in to the gangsters if they should want the girl.
Each week, the train platform school in Bhubaneswar stages a puppet show. Amid the entertainment, there is always a message. Sometimes it's about leprosy or tuberculosis, but most often it is about sexually transmitted diseases.
When we realized that the children were having very early sexual experiences and they were all very high risk, we started a program on HIV/AIDS awareness for the children. They needed to be warned before they die from this disease.
But for Inderjit Khurana, talk alone is never enough. To give her kids the best possible chance of escaping the world of prostitution and AIDS that surrounds the station, she recently expanded her program to include a vocational school.
For those children who are late starters, I take them into vocational training. And what we've actually done is to give them a base to start on, and thereafter they are self-promoting. We don't have to do it for them anymore. And some of my kids have done brilliantly.
Teenagers who graduate from Inderjit Sewing School receive their own machine as a graduation present. It is nothing less than the chance at a life for girls whom prostitution was once the only option.
It's exhilarating to just see the children. It's such sheer pleasure to see a child you picked up from the railway tracks grow into a chauffeur or a cook in a five-star hotel or a chauffeur for a very big company. Girls marry well. And sometimes I think it makes you feel like God, because, they were somewhere down below and you helped to raise them up to this level.
One girl whose life was transformed by the train platform school was Yashuda.
She's finished her high school, and while she was doing her high school, we realized that she loved to play the flute. She's now performing on television and going to a music college. She's broken this taboo of girls not going to school.
Inderjit dreams that one day there will be a train platform school on every train platform in India. But the fact is, she has so little money that the schools she now has have to look elsewhere than her bank account for survival.
Well, I've always said, and I do believe, that I have divine intervention. I've had very little money, and at times I've been despairing. And out of the blue, the postman will bring me a check. Out of the blue, somebody would drive up to my office and say, I want to give something to the school. I've had moments like that. And I think it's just divine intervention. I think when you're doing good, then God finds a way to help you.
Inderjit's faith has given her the inspiration to create not only the train platform schools and the vocational school, but 5 schools based in the slums and a new helpline for battered women. It may seem like a lot, but to Inderjit Khurana, it is still not enough. On January 17, 2004, after the weekly Saturday bath, a doctor who volunteers at the school discovered that Rama has Hansen's disease, leprosy. Many lepers in India are ejected from their homes and communities and left to rot away in misery. But Inderjit has managed to find a donor to pay for the drugs Rama needs to be cured. Without the train platform school, Rama's life would be over even sooner than the children who will turn to prostitution and suicide. With it, Rama and the others have hope. A teacher decided that if the children couldn't come to school, she'd bring the school to them. Her name is Inderjit Khurana, and she is the guardian angel of the children of the railway stations. "300 miles south of Calcutta lies the Indian city of Bhubaneswar. Every day, the trains that are the lifeblood of the city bring more desperately poor families from the countryside everywhere. Education certainly is the key to advancement and the strongest hammer for breaking the chains of poverty. Yet, for many of the world's poor, education is still unattainable. Those without it are destined to lives of silent desperation. The nation of India is home to nearly 500 million children, many of whom live in extreme poverty. The Indian government has simply not been able to find a way to educate children who must spend their days begging, stealing, and selling their bodies to survive. But one woman...
Additional funding provided by Calvert.
Calvert, investments that make a difference.
Listen. Imagine how life will be.
What is it that makes a person a hero? Is it the risk they take? Or the lives they change? There are people in the world today who are offering hope instead of despair. They are the new heroes. Hello, I'm Robert Redford. Learning is a treasure which follows its owners everywhere.
In India, turning train platforms into schools. In Thailand, the battle against child prostitution. And in Egypt, one mother refuses to give up on forgotten children. The power of knowledge, next on The New Heroes. Major funding for The New Heroes was provided by the Skoll Foundation,